Hello, I'm Paddy from creativemedia.org.uk. I'm going to try out some of this Milliput stuff today. I've got a repair to do, and I never get on very well with glues. Most super glues don't seem to stick when I try and stick things with them. I don't know what it is, and they often dry out. Just glues aren't really my friend. So I thought I'd try some of this mouldable putty to fix this angle-poise lamp. So what I've got, there's a plastic joint here, which these metal sort of squarish section bits slot onto. This is snapped, which is annoying, and it looks like I've lost a bit of material there as well, so there's not a really clean join. So even if I were to glue it, it wouldn't fit snugly. So my idea, as you probably saw earlier, is to fit a piece of metal. This is actually part of an old suspension file thing from a filing cabinet. I figure if I put a bit of metal in there and somehow pack it out with the Milliput and then get that to attach somehow with the sticking power of the Milliput, which I hope it has, then that might be strong enough for this to slot onto this bit here without it breaking. Of course I don't want this bit of metal to be quite so long, because there's no way I'm going to get this on the end otherwise, because you can see here is the electrical cable which runs through the tube, and getting that out would be quite a pain. I've got to remove lots of connections at the other end, which I'd rather not do. So for my first job is to saw off this. Here is my shortened metal splint rod, whatever you call it. I've roughened it off a bit, you can see here, which will hopefully make it stick in the, what's it called? Milliput a bit better. So I'm going to mix up some Milliput now. Here are my two bits of Milliput. So I guess you just squish them together. They come in two separate plastic bags, which I've wrapped up tightly again, put an elastic band around them because I don't want them mixing up. That was always my problem with things like araldite. That somehow the glues would end up oozing all over each other, and there'd just be a mixture of sticky stuff and hard stuff, and yeah, not really what I wanted. It says this will take about 5 minutes to knead until there's no streaks of colour. And interestingly, in the shop I bought this, there were three kinds of Milliput. There was a fine white one, there was a black one, and there was this one, and this was just over half the price of the other two. I looked at all the packaging and it didn't say it was like a less good version, so I've really no idea why this one is cheap, but I went for the cheap one, so hopefully I won't regret that. Okay, so my putty is all squeezed and squished. I haven't been wearing any gloves, but hopefully I'll get away with not having any skin reactions. I don't tend to get bad skin reactions. So what I want to do is try and stuff it in this hole and see if that works. So I'll maybe try and do little bits. And I'm hoping the electrical cable won't have any problems. I don't think it moves back and forward very much. So that's all stuck at the top. I'll try and shove that down the hole if I can. I've got apparently 3 to 4 hours before this sets hard, so that should give me a bit of time. Use my rod as well to shove this down. That's one of the downsides with super glue, that even though it's super fast, you've only got 10 seconds or 1 second or whatever it is to get everything where you want it to be. So you can work a little bit more slowly with this, which is nice. Hopefully if I put too much in, it'll just ooze out again. Fingers crossed. Thankfully I've got a hole in the bottom of this, which might be useful for stuffing things in as well. I don't know. Right. I think I could do it. Yeah, I could do with some inside this end as well. Hopefully it'll just ooze out the sides. Right, I'll start with that and then try and get this rod stuck down in the right place, which I think needs to be that side. In it goes. I don't particularly mind if this is a bit wonky, but it'd be nice to have it straight, really. Milliput claims that you can sand it and such like, and cut it and such like, so I'm hoping that some of this excess I can remove afterwards. I might as well use up all that I've got, because I can't think of anything else I need to fix with this right at the moment. I think if you are using this stuff, it's good to give yourself a list of things that you want to fix, and then if you've got a bit left over, you can fix the other things with it too. It's going to be wonky, isn't it, if I'm not careful? This isn't straight. That needs going further, doesn't it? Push it with that too. There we go. I've also smoothed off the ends of this metal rod because I don't want it cutting through the wire. I should point out this is how many volts is this wire? It's not high voltage and it's 0.15 amps, so I think the fact it's going through a transformer means it's going to be a bit less dangerous, even if this metal bits do become, I can't see them, these metal bits do become live because I've messed things up. I don't think it's going to be dangerous to people on the whole. So I guess I've just got to go and be patient now. Something I do want to try though, which I've heard about, and I don't know if it applies to Milliput or not, but apparently you can use water to make it a bit smoother. So I'm going to see whether that works or whether it's just an absolute disaster. So I've made my fingers slightly damp. I'm going to see if I can smooth that off a bit. That seems to be working quite nicely. I mean, of course, if this doesn't set, I'm going to think, oh, it's my fault for stupidly smoothing it off with water. But yeah, that gives me a nice smooth finish, or at least puts my fingerprints on it. Now, I think I'm tempted to leave that as it is, and maybe put a little bit more underneath. Yeah, why not? Does it stick on top still, even if it's wet? Oh, no, don't want too much on top. Just want some into that hole, really, don't they? Now I'll have to cut this off so that this metal bit here will fit over here. But hopefully I can do that with a file or a knife or something. I'm inclined to wait until it's hardened properly before doing that. I mean, it would be very easy to cut this away now with a knife or a screwdriver or something, which I'm terribly impatient. I'm just not good at waiting. I'm going to take a bit off now, but mostly I'm going to let it dry. Yeah, if I shove that in that hole, that should give it a bit more something, strength. I'm going to see if I can find something that needs fixing that I can use this little bit on, because it'd be a shame not to use it. I've been using up some of the leftover stuff, trying some ceramic repairs. So this one's got some chips out, like this one here. So I thought I'd just get my fingers a bit wet and try smoothing some in to one of the chips. I've watched this on some of the repair programs on TV, and yeah, it's kind of coming out the right kind of shape. And with a damp finger you can blend it in quite nicely. I'll leave it there and I'll wash away the all this extra stuff I've smeared around and see if that holds in under the tap. Yep, that's worked nicely. I've run this under the tap. This stuff stayed put, but all the smeary bits that I'd rubbed around with my fingers have gone. So I think that might do on this antique plate. I don't think it's an antique plate. No, it says 699 on the back. It could be one of not very many on some little maker's mark here. Who knows? I just hope this wasn't a valuable antique, because I've probably ruined it. Well, here we are, around 4 hours later. This stuff hasn't totally hardened. I can still scrape a bit off with my thumbnail here. As you can see that, I can still put some dents in it. But I've just got so impatient that I want to put this together, so I'm going to see if this bit will actually stay in position. This joint here feels fairly stiff, I think, and the whole plastic joint here isn't wonderfully strong, so I don't know. But I've really no idea whether this is going to hold together or not fit or break or what, because this metal piece here is, how long is it? It's about 8 inches, 10 inches long, so that'll put quite a lot of leverage, considering it's got a fairly heavy fluorescent light on the end. So let's see whether this will just snap or not. Here's the joint being pushed together. Ooh. That's pushed in far enough for me to be happy. It's not going to be super secure, but there's not really going to be any pulling force on that. But can I actually angle poise the lamp around at all, or is it just going to snap under pressure? Well, here is the fix. Let's see if it survives a bit of moving around. It does wobble a bit, but I think that wobble is because this thing isn't fitted totally securely on the plastic bit that it's meant to be fitted on. Well, here's the fix the next day, and this must be a good 12-14 hours later, and this stuff is a lot harder. Let's tap it with a knife. If I use the sharp side, let's see if it, yeah. So if I use the sharp side of the knife, it is marking it a bit, so it's not totally soft, but a lot harder than it was. The downside is that I've got a bit of movement here, and you can, I don't know if you can see there, the actual plastic bit I've joined on is rocking, so that's not a perfect fix. What I intend to do is put in a bit more Milliput, mix it up and put it in this gap around here. And the thing I really like about Milliput, which you don't get from things like Sugru, is that, I haven't tested this long term of course, but as long as you keep the two pieces of putty apart and kind of variously generally in a cool and dry environment, they should last for a long time. Whereas Sugru, I think once it's unwrapped, it hardens and that's it. And something I don't like about glues is just throwing away glue that's no longer any use. So I'm hoping Milliput will give me a long-lasting fixing tool. Okay, here's the final fix, and you can see it's cracked here. I've covered everything with a second layer, and it seems to have bonded to itself okay, but I thought it was a really good fix, and then I moved this a bit and you can see the whole thing's still moving like it did before, and it's cracked up here. In the original coat of Milliput that will be. I think in future I probably wouldn't buy Milliput, I'd probably try a similar product that was stronger. I saw a review that suggested some stuff called JB Weld was a lot stronger. So, but I'll keep the stuff I've got and use it up on various fixes, and maybe not try it on anything quite so extreme as this. Thanks for watching.